Well, we made it. It's championship weekend, and there are only 4 teams remaining in the NFL playoffs. And I think I know which 2 teams will advance to the Super Bowl, so let's get right into my championship weekend predictions. This year, I think both the Philadelphia Eagles and Cincinnati Bengals will win and advance to the 2023 NFL Super Bowl. Here's why. The first matchup of the week is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the San Francisco 49ers. These are 2 of the most talented teams in football, so this game should make for an epic showdown. However, I think the Philadelphia Eagles will win. The big reason why is because I think they're going to be able to control the trenches. So what does that mean? Well, the trenches in football stand for the offensive and defensive line, so I think Philly is going to be able to use their O-line and D-line to control this game. Both of these teams have great defensive lines, but we sometimes forget how good the Eagles' defensive line actually is. The Eagles had the most sacks this season by any team in the league with 70 sacks. They were 2 sacks away from tying the single-season record for most sacks in a single season. The 49ers, meanwhile, had 44 sacks this season, which is still very good, but it's 26 less sacks than the Eagles had, which just goes to show how good the Philadelphia defensive line actually is. The Eagles also have a much better offensive line than the San Francisco 49ers. The Eagles have 2 All-Pros on their offensive line in Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson, both of whom did not allow a single sack this season. And while the 49ers offensive line is good, it can be sketchy at times, and it is their one big positional weakness of their team. This means that Jalen Hurts is going to have slightly more time to throw behind his better offensive line, and he will probably be able to make the big plays that Brock Purdy just won't be able to because he's under too much pressure from Philly's defensive line. The 49ers secondary can also be vulnerable at times, and Jalen Hurts, I think, will get a few more big plays to his great wide receivers than the San Francisco 49ers will be able to. And the last reason why I picked the Eagles to win this game is because last week, even though the Niners won, they didn't play great. It was the best defense Brock Purdy and the Niners had faced all season, and the Niners only scored 1 touchdown against the Cowboys. So I worry what's going to happen this week when they face an even better defense in the Philadelphia Eagles. And so, I think that the Philadelphia Eagles will beat the San Francisco 49ers and advance to the Super Bowl. Now, who will they face in the Super Bowl? That's the big question, isn't it? As this was definitely the tougher of the 2 games to pick. On one hand, I have the guy who's been to 5 straight AFC Championship games and 2 Super Bowls in Patrick Mahomes. And on the other hand, I have the guy who's 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes and just took his team to the Super Bowl last year in Joe Burrow. So who do I choose? Well, there's really no wrong answer in this case, as both these teams have superstar franchise quarterbacks, and both these teams are very great. But I think that the Cincinnati Bengals will beat the Kansas City Chiefs for 2 main reasons. First of all, Patrick Mahomes' injury. Patrick Mahomes got a slight ankle sprain last week in their game against the Jaguars, and even though he's going to play in this game, he won't be at 100% capacity. If Patrick Mahomes were fully healthy, I think that this would be a different conversation, but because he's not at 100%, I think that the Chiefs will definitely not do as well. Mahomes is probably the most talented quarterback in the NFL, and it's really his ability to escape the pocket and extend plays in order to make the crazy throws that he makes that makes Patrick Mahomes so special. However, if he's not at 100%, he probably won't be able to move as much and extend plays long enough to give the Kansas City Chiefs the advantage that they need in order to win. The second reason why I think the Cincinnati Bengals will win this game is because of their superior offensive weapons. The Kansas City Chiefs has the best tight end in football in Travis Kelce, and there's no question about that. But besides from Kelce, who else do the Chiefs really have? I challenge you to tell me the Chiefs' number 1 wide receiver this season. This season, the Chiefs' leading wide receiver in terms of yards was Juju Smith-Schuster with 930 yards. The Bengals, meanwhile, had 2 1,000-yard receivers in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Those 2 alone would be great, but the Bengals also have Tyler Boyd, who would be a number 1 wide receiver on many other teams in the NFL, and they also have a superstar running back in Joe Mixon. Both these teams have solid defenses, and neither is top tier. So ultimately, I think that this game is going to come down to the 2 offenses, and I simply think that the Bengals have more offensive weapons, and they will be able to overwhelm the Kansas City Chiefs offensively. If you combine that with the fact that Patrick Mahomes is slightly injured, I think that the Cincinnati Bengals will be able to win this game and advance to their 2nd consecutive Super Bowl. But feel free to leave your predictions for championship weekend down in the comments below. Also, feel free to tell me who you think will advance to this year's Super Bowl down in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any more amazing content by the NFL Kid. Until next time, my fellow football fans, see you at game time.